Hello guys, welcome to another video of TCSBaba. So in this video, I'll be starting a new series on GS paper 4, the Indian economy portion of TCS main syllabus. So in the syllabus, we can see that the Indian economy, poverty, employment and inflation, this constitutes of 30 marks, the section A of GS paper 4. And in this video, I'll be discussing about the basic features of Indian economy. So let's get some basics of Indian economy. As per GDP based on PPP mode, purchasing power parity mode, India is currently ranking third based on the percentage of GDP that is contributed to the world GDP. If you see the ranking, as per April 2021 data, China is contributing the highest as per PPP, 18.78%, US 15.97%, and India is 7.19%. As per GDP in nominal terms, India ranks I think 7th, but as per PPP, purchasing power parity, India ranks 3rd. So now coming to the syllabus portion, the basic features of Indian economy. Before going into the basic features of Indian economy, first let's try to understand what are the different types of economies, how they are defined, based on what they are, the different economies are defined. So as per the status of development, how developed a country is, based on that a country can be developed or underdeveloped or undeveloped or a developing economy. So these are the different types of economies as per status of development. As per the system of activity that happens in the economy, it can be capitalistic, it can be socialistic, it can be a mixed economy. As per the scale of activities, it may be a large economy or a small economy. As per the national income, it can be a low income economy, a middle income economy, or a high income economy. The most important one is, you can say, the system of activities. So let's go a little bit deeper into the system of activities. So what's economic system? It's a manner in which the individual and institutions are connected together to carry out economic activity in a particular area. So individual and institutions. What are institutions? Institutions can be private, can be public or government. Private institution, let's say any shop, any private company, those are private institutions. What are government institutions? A fully government institution, let's say the government offices, the municipalities, let's say in the defense sector, DRDO, in nuclear, let's say nuclear power plants. All these are fully government authorities. Indian Railways, fully government authorities, institutions. So these are there are very various types of institutions, and how the individuals, how the persons, the citizens are connected with the institutions to carry out their economic activities is what is an economic system. This can also be developed as a methodology of doing economic activities to meet the needs of the society. It's not an individualistic need, it's what's the need of the society. पूरे society को क्या ज़रूरत है in terms of economy, in terms of economic activities. That is what an economic system is. Now, how do you classify the economic systems? Three major types of economic systems are there. First is the capitalistic economy. This is based on capitalism. Capitalism, who is the thinker? That is Adam Smith. Next comes socialistic economy. Socialistic economy is based on socialism. Socialism based on Karl Marx theory. ठीक है. Next comes a mixed economy. Mixed economy क्या है? Mixed economy is nothing but a khichdi of capitalistic and socialistic economy. Capitalistic economy we also like free economy. In Latin, it's called laissez-faire. Capitalistic economy is also called market economy. Here, the role of government is minimum, and here the market determines the economic activity, and the government doesn't interfere in this. Automatically, if people start liking some other type of biscuit or some other type of product, then the market produces that type of product. So basically, whatever the market forces say, Market forces will determine what type of products are available in a capitalistic economy. The property is privately owned, and your property, the government doesn't have any say in that, and your property will be passed on to your inheritance, whoever is your heir. The whole economy is driven by a profit motive. Profit is the motive. How more money can be generated, that is how the economy runs. There is free competition. Anyone can start their business, and there is free competition in that. The whole thing is dependent on the price mechanism. The market determines means the price is the main factor. Price mechanism means demand and supply is the key factor which determines what will be there in the market, what will be the price of a product, what are the things that will be available in the market. Everything is dependent on demand and supply, demand of the people and the whatever supply is available from the producers. Okay, so these are the basic traits of a capitalistic economy. Next, coming to the socialistic economy. Socialistic economy, we also call it as planned economy or a command economy. All the resources that are there in an economy are owned and operated by the government. Government owns all sort of resources, be it natural, be it man-made resources. Everything is owned by the government. There is nothing that is owned by the individual. There is no public property in this. The public ownership of means of production, even as I was saying, the resources, natural resources are government property. Anything that is prepared from natural resources, the means of production, is also public ownership. So the government is the only body which can manufacture anything. Government is the only body which can open any shop. So government is the whole sole owner of this economy. There is central planning in this. So the central government decides what will be this year's let's say production, where the money will be spent most. Everything is on a central planning basis. There is non-existence of competition. Competition का बात तो बनता ही नहीं, because the private entity is not there. So non-existence of competition. There is absence of price mechanism, because the government decide what will be the price. Government decide करती है कितना सामान will be available. If the government suddenly says कि everyone has to eat bread, ठीक है, सबका bread खाना है, then that is the only thing that will be available in the market and nothing else will be available. So उसका price भी government decide कर लेगी, है कि नहीं? So there is absence of price mechanism. Now coming to equality of income and opportunity. See, again equality of income is there, because let's say factory खोल दिया government ने, and their government decides what will be your salary. So equality of income, irrespective of what your background is, there is equality of income. Now, and also opportunity is also equal for everyone. Ultimate idea is a classless society. That is Karl Marx idea of a classless society. It's a utopian sort of idea. It's not practicable in real life. There are no perfect capitalistic economy, and there are no perfect socialistic economy in the world. What are there are the mixed economies. To what extent a country is biased towards capitalism or towards socialism defines what extent of mixed economy it is. Now, what's a mixed economy? The mixed economy is basically a combination of both capitalism and socialism. The means of production and properties are owned both by private and public. Private भी own कर सकती है, public तो own करती ही है, and private can also own. There is economic planning in this economy. There is freedom of control also. Freedom and control means there is freedom for a private entity to own a business, to own land. At the same time, the overall control of the economy is with the government. So as I was saying, how much inclined an economy is. So perfect communism and pure competition means capitalistic. So in between there is mixed economy. A little bit towards capitalism is United States and Japan, where capitalism is they tend or they bias more towards capitalism. The private sector is more. And for example, North Korea, China, they are more biased towards communism. So that's where, although private sector also exists, India comes here. India is here where it's sort of proper mixed economy. What's the difference or comparison between the three types of economies? Ownership, capitalism private, socialism public, mixed is both are there. Economic motive, basically profit is the motive. In socialism, economic motive is social welfare of all people. That is the motive in socialism. In mixed, both are there. Economic freedom, there is complete freedom in capitalism, there is lack of freedom in socialism, and there is limited freedom in mixed economy. What are the major problem? This is important. The major problem, there is inequality in capitalism and there is inefficiency in government in socialistic economy. In mixed economy both the problems are there existing. ठीक है, मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी खिचड़ी बनाने के चक्कर में दोनों ही प्रॉब्लम इस पे आ गए. First question of this video: what is mixed economy? It's a private sector and bank. It's a coexistence of public and private sector. It's a public sector and banks. It's public sector only. Write answer in the comments below. Write something like 1A, 1B, 1C or 1D. Okay, now let's move on with the video. Now coming to the features of Indian economy, the main topic of our syllabus, features of Indian economy. The features of Indian economy, I will break it down into two sections. One will be the strength of Indian economy and second will be the weakness of Indian economy. Now coming to the strengths of Indian economy. First is, it's a mixed economy. Public and private sector, they coexist in Indian economy. And some of the important critical sectors are under public sector. Post 1991, liberalization, globalization happened, and private sector, it gained importance. And now Indian economy is a perfect PPP model, public-private partnership model for the whole world. Next, the agriculture is a key in Indian economy. 58% of Indian population depends on agriculture. It's a huge 58%. As per 2020-21, the share of GDP by agriculture is 19.9%. There is a huge increase. It was, I think, 17% in 2016-2017. The share of GDP. The growth rate, although is quite less, 3.4%, but on an average 4% is what the growth rate remains regarding the agriculture sector. Now, in export terms, India is one among the 15 leading exporter of agricultural product. So agriculture contributes a lot in the export income that is generated. Third strength is, it's an emerging market. Why emerging market? It emerged as a vibrant economy with stable GDP growth rate. See, COVID, it destabilized all the economies of the world. Before that, India was a very stable GDP growth rate country even in difficult times. And because of that, because of having a stable economy, it attracted FDI and FII. FDI, foreign direct investment, FII, foreign institutional investment. What are the difference between these two? These will come in future videos regarding economy. There is high potential for prospective growth. Because of all this reason, India has become an emerging market, an emerging economy. So India is currently emerging as a top economic giant among the world economy. It is 7th in terms of nominal GDP and 3rd in terms of GDP as per purchasing power parity. ये मैंने पहले स्लाइड में डिस्क्राइब किया था how it is 3rd now. ठीक है. So this, what is nominal GDP, what is purchasing power parity, all these will come in the 3rd or 4th video in this series where I'll be discussing about national income. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Please give a like in this video if you're liking this video, and also share this channel with Next, fast growing economy. This is well known for high and sustained growth. India is well known for high and sustained growth. Forget about 2020, every country suffered. So before that, and also right now also, India is a high and sustained growth wala country. 2021 projection by International Monetary Fund, growth in real GDP is 12.5%. Bhai, 12.5%. This is 4% higher than what IMF predicts for the United States. For US, I think they predicted 8%. There is a fast growing service sector also. Service sector, 55.39% of GDP is what is the share of service sector in the whole of the country's GDP, and the major part of total export is also by the service sector, and service sector is the largest recipient of FDI, and this service sector has helped the country to go global and help in spreading its branches around the world. So with faster growth rate, there is higher standard of living and higher spending. लोगों के पास पैसा ज़्यादा आया, लोग spend ज़्यादा किए, and overall, due to this large population size, we don't have to even look outside our country. Our country provides a domestic consumption which is enough to sustain its own economy. But anyways, with higher spending, and there is a rapid increase in domestic consumption. Now, the rapid growth of urban areas. The rapid growth of urban areas happened post-independence. This is mainly due to improved connectivity in transport and communication, education and health, and sped up the pace of urbanization. All these things actually helped in strengthening the Indian economy more. The demographic dividend. What is the demographic dividend? Demographic dividend is basically the young generation, the percentage of youth in the population of the country. The human capital of India is young, so the maximum percentage of youth is there, and they are quite skilled and trained enough to maximize the growth of the country. And because of this good demographic dividend, it has invited foreign investment to this country, and also outsourcing opportunities to other countries also. Now coming to our next question, a scientific study of the characteristic of the population is called what? क्या होता है? ये टोपोग्राफी है, ये डेमोग्राफी है, ये जियोग्राफी है, या फिलॉसफी है? वेरी सिंपल आंसर, वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन गाइस. इसका आंसर फट से कमेंट्स में लिख दो, Q2A और B और C और D. नाउ कमिंग टू द वीकनेस ऑफ इंडियन इकोनॉमी. सी, पॉपुलेशन तो पहले हम लोगों ने बोला कि द डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड इज़ वेरी गुड, बट if we see the overall population of the country, being the second highest number of people in the world, just next to China, and with the prediction that it will overtake China over few years. So this large population with limited resources तो increase नहीं हो रहे, resources are limited. So there is overcrowding over limited resources, and hence there are failure of policies, failure of everything due to this large population. There are very good policies, but जब population factories पे आ जाता है, it fails. Inequality and poverty. Huge economic disparity in Indian economy is there. There's high percentage of people living below poverty line, and because of this inequality, the richer 10%, see, the 10% of the people earns more or has more money than the 90% combined in the whole of the country. As a result of this, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. How do you define growth? Growth is defined not when the rich becomes less rich or everyone becomes rich. Not that. Real growth is defined as the rich is getting richer, at the same time the poor are also getting richer, they are also improving. If both of them are increasing or improving, that means that the real growth is happening. But here the poor is getting poorer, that is not a correct growth of the economy. That's a basic weakness. Next, the increasing price of essential goods. See, GDP is constantly increasing of the country. That's a very good sign. But at the same time, and there is steady increase in the price of essential goods also. Essential goods का भी prices. It can be food items, maybe petrol, etc. So all these things are also steadily increasing. उससे क्या होता है कि the purchasing power gets affected of the people. Purchasing power कैसे affect होता है? आज आपके पास 100 रुपये है, economy is increasing, price भी increase हो रहा है, but with that 100 rupee if you can buy 10 things 2 years back, now you can buy only 7 things. तो क्या हुआ? The purchasing power of you is getting eroded. अब ये चीज़ है कि for the salaried people you have an increase of salary per year, but what happens to those who are the poor, who are in the business? उनका purchasing power तो increase नहीं हो रहा ना, their purchasing power is getting eroded. So that is where one of the major weakness is controlling the steady increase of essential goods. Next, weak infrastructure. See, although there is a phenomenal development in infrastructure creation over the last decade, yet scarcity of basic infrastructure is there in terms of power, in terms of transport, in terms of healthcare. All these things, there is still weak infrastructure is there. Next, inadequate employment generation. By demographic dividend, it's huge and they need employment opportunity, but the growth in production is not accompanied by creation of job. The service sector is a specialized sector. Not everybody can get in easily. The service sector को छोड़ के the secondary sector, that is the industries wala sector, the industries wala sector didn't grow as much as the service sector. India basically jumped from the primary economy to the service economy. The industrial revolution didn't happen properly in India. तो उससे क्या हुआ कि the secondary sector is what employs the most number of people. The industries employ the most number of people and that creation of job didn't happen. अब वो नहीं हुआ तो उसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इंडिया का ग्रोथ हुआ, but Indian economy is also called a jobless growth. Growth happened, but it's jobless. That's another big issue with Indian economy. Next, outdated technology. The level of technology used in agriculture and small scale industries is still outdated. इसके वजह से the growth of agriculture is only 3 to 4%. ठीक है, plus the hold, all the land holdings of farmers is quite small. ठीक है, so to apply the modern technologies, big holdings are not there, because as you saw, more than 58% of people depends on agriculture. भाई land कितना है? Land is limited, people are more, so you divide land by the number of people that are dependent on agriculture. You see the land holdings are very less. You can't apply modern technology there. Even if modern technology apply करोगे in a small area, that won't give that impact that it would give on a big sort of plot. उसके वजह से भी the advancement in agriculture is not happening, the growth in agriculture is not happening. So that's where the weakness also ends. More weakness are there, more strengths are also there, but these are the basic weakness and strength that can be said about Indian economy. Now another question: who introduced the National Development Council in India? Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, राधाकृष्णन, VKRV राव. ठीक है, इसका आंसर भी कमेंट सेक्शन पे दे देना. So in this part only that portion is covered. In the next part I'll be covering the demographic trends of India, the natural resources, the economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. So this will finish your basic features of Indian economy. So that's it guys, hope you liked the video. If you have liked it, please give a thumbs up, बहुत अच्छा लगेगा. Any queries, anything more you want, any clarification you want, please write it in the comment section. ठीक है, and please subscribe to this channel भाई. I have seen कि more than 50% of the viewers who are watching these videos are not subscribed. भाई सब्सक्राइब कर लो, अगर देख ही रहे हो तो सब्सक्राइब ही कर लो, अच्छा ही होगा. ठीक है, you can connect with me on Telegram also, it's TCSBaba. And any sort of files, any links to the books will be there in the description, and also will be there in the about section of my YouTube channel. So that's it guys, see you in the next video.